Just tell me a little bit about your mother and father. You know, were they from around here?
My dad was born down in Martha, Oklahoma, and they brought him up here when he was a baby. And my mom was born down on 60th and Rock Creek Road.
Well, that's pretty local.
That was the Grimmett plantation out there, I guess, or whatever. They owned the whole half section or whole section or whatever. It was all his kinfolks. My grandpa's was over from Arkansas.
That's my mother's people's out of Arkansas.
Then my mom and my dad's folks, they was from Sugar Hill, Georgia.
When you started playing music, you said you was 15.
I was about 15. I don't know. I mean, I've been around music all my life. Mom and Dad played before I was ever born. And Johnny Vaughn and Bob Pitt and Wimpy Wells, all of them. They used to play pie suppers and out in Pleasant Hill.
Too.
Out in Pleasant Hill. You know where Pleasant Hill is?
Yes, indeed.
And
they call it Robin Hill now.
Yeah. And I used to go out there and play for them. And they play over here at the old chapel over here at the state hospital. And then they played the Veterans Ward. And they go up in the city and play the Veterans Ward up there. And then Dad and Johnny and Bob Pitt and probably Wimpy, I guess, had a radio show. And I don't even know how many years. It must have been, of course, at least a couple of years out there on KNOR with it's Gene Stansbury, but he called himself Sloppy, Sloppy's Corral. And he came on real early in the morning. And I remember I was sitting there at the breakfast table and listening to him play on radio.
And Wiley and Gene do that on some kind of an early morning show too.
Yeah.
Before Jude and them got their furniture store.
Most of all that stuff was all Jack Beasley stuff.
Yeah, I remember Jack Beasley. Well, on the band that you had, I think you said Ricky Burks, my cousin Bill Bernard, and Hugh Franklin. Of course, Hugh Franklin was a good friend of Cliff. Do you remember Cliff, my brother?
Yeah.
I've got one picture of Bill Bernard and Hugh Franklin, Cliff, my brother Alan. I think John might have been taken at Cliff's place out in California. I'm going to put that on my site before I'm through with it.
Huh.
But who played bass? Was it Ricky Burks? Or?
Ricky Burks played bass. Had a little Fender bass, blonde one.
I remember Cliff talking about that, because I was pretty young.
Yeah, Billy had his little Fender guitars, a blue Fender. And then Huey ended up buying that Gretsch at, yes, a 58 Gretsch or whatever.
I never did get to hear you guys play back then, but I knew I knew that y'all did.
I've got a reel-to-reel somewhere with this. You wouldn't want to hear it. I'm serious. If it didn't even play, Billy Bernard singing on the thing.
I'll be.
I'm serious.
God, that would be something.
I'm serious.
I mean, a lot of times the old stuff, it isn't what you call quality music, but it's extremely valuable because of what it was and when it was.
I'm trying to remember. It seemed like it was a Revell. Of course, just like a little half track, you know. That's what we had in the front room. That's where we set up and played some. And then, I don't know how they even put up with us. Billy's the only one he was the one that had talent.
Well, you know, I don't think I ever saw him play other than pick a guitar a little bit once or twice.
He was good.
Of course, I listened to my uncle play a lot, though, his dad.
Yeah, William, yeah. He had that fold-up fiddle.
Yeah, he always had stuff like that.
Yeah. I don't know, we played, we didn't really play it much. I mean, I was going over to junior high about that time, and I'd come across the street and spend my lunch hours back there in the little room beating on the drums and then run back over to class. And anyway, we played, I guess, Billy, Huey, and myself, and Bert Kennedy, and maybe Melvin Stokes.
Well, I remember Bert Kennedy. I knew him.
And we played over at where we play? Over at Bojack's over there at Macomb.
Well, you know,
one-room schoolhouse.
I remember coming in. My dad always come into town and stop at my grandmother's there. And one time we went around the corner. You said it's called the Tiger's Den. We went in there and got something at a little store.
Yeah.
Who, you said it was your grandparents that had that?
Yeah, it's my grandmother and grandpa.
On your mother's side?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where I first started. I mean, I can't sing still, but them kids, I knew Pistol Packin' Mama. And they used to buy me Hershey bar if I'd sing Pistol Packin' Mama. And they'd set me on top of the counter, and I'd sing Pistol Packin' Mama. All I knew of it, they'd buy me Hershey bar. And then I got where I put my Hershey bar on my hamburger, and that was my lunch.
You know, something similar happened to me. There's a guy named Joe Doss that lived out in the country. He used to come over to the house. He drove a Cadillac and smoked big cigars. And he'd always tell me, he said, if you'll dance a jig, I'll give you a nickel. So I'd kick around there in the dust a little bit and get my nickel. Let's see, I wanted to ask, Ronnie Martin, when did you first meet Ronnie Martin?
Well, his dad played drums before I ever started playing drums. Him and my dad and all them. And Ronnie, I guess he must have been, Lord, he must have been 11 or something. I was probably 13 or something like that. I don't know. And I know they went somewhere and played with who was it? Tex Ritter. We had our picture made with Tex. I don't know. I guess Ronnie's mother played guitar.
I didn't know
and,
that.
She sang some. And
well, you know, my mother played guitar too. Oh, let's see.
My dad used to pick cotton over here on West Robinson, down there by the 10-mile flats out there.
Yeah, I've picked cotton out there myself.
Well, that's where Dad
as late
cotton.
As the early 60s.
And I went on the bus tour one time. We stopped in Mississippi, and they showed us Bo Weevil. And they had a big cotton patch out there. So I said, well, just a minute. So I went out there and picked about 3 or 4 little bowls of cotton. And I said, I'm a cotton picker. That's enough for me.
Well, you know, there's cotton picking and there's pulling bowls.
Well,
do you know the difference?
No, it's just a little cotton ball. I just pulled about 3 or 4.
But when you pull the cotton out of the bowl, you're picking cotton. When you snap the bowl off without pulling it out, you're pulling bowls.
Yeah, okay. Whatever. Anyway, I got 3 or 4 pieces, and I got back on the bus.
Now,